Okay, so here we are in our Excel spreadsheet, and ultimately we want our data to look like this. And you'll see why as we move further through the exercise, but this is how we want the data formatted. So we're going to go to our file that we just put into our Excel spreadsheet, our QED file or whatever you named it, and kind of rearrange things and get rid of some things we don't need so we can create that visualization scatter plot. So the first thing I want you to do is to go ahead and get rid of some of the things we're not going to use. We're just going to use longitude and latitude. So we're going to get rid of date and time. And we can do this simply by clicking in the A and B column and then right clicking and just doing delete. And that will get rid of those two columns. I'm going to do the same thing with magnitude and depth. We're not going to use those, so we're going to go ahead and just click and delete. Now when we think about what a scatter plot looks like, or if we've ever looked at a coordinate grid, we know that we have an x-axis and a y-axis. And generally the x-axis is listed first whenever we give coordinates, and then the y-axis is listed second. So when we look at the data that we got from the U.S. Geological Society, we have latitude first and longitude second. Well, if you'll remember back to your elementary days, you'll remember that latitude is our y-axis. And I remember that because my teacher said latitude ladder. A ladder goes up and down. So we want to switch these two columns. So we can do this. It's not as hard as it seems. We're just going to select the second column, longitude, and then I'm going to cut, and then I'm going to click on our latitude, and then I'm going to right click and select insert cut cells, and it basically just moves the longitude into the A column and the latitude into the B column. So now we want to create our scatter plot. So the way to do that is just select the data from both columns. And okay, so now I've got my columns all straightened out. I'm going to select my data and I'm going to insert a chart. We're going to insert a scatter chart, and we want to make sure we insert one that does not have lines. So we're just going to do a marked scatter. It may have a different name in your program, but no matter, just determine which one has the scatter plot lines. So I'm going to pull that chart that we created here, and notice that this chart, though seemingly beautiful, does not match this chart, and so I'm going to have to make a couple of adjustments to get this to look like I need it to look. One thing that is great about it, it's got 0, 0 right there at the center. That's where the axis crosses, and we're going to need that as we visualize our data. So the first thing we want to do is edit our vertical axis, and so we're going to go in here and just click on the axis, and you can double click and you'll actually get a format axis window where we can actually go in and change. What we're going to change is the scale. And so if you'll look at the scale, it's got auto and it has all of those things selected. So no matter what program you're using, you're just going to want to turn off everything except crossing at 0, 0. So when we think about longitude and latitude, what we're going to look at is from minus 90 to positive 90. And there's no written rule here, but we're going to actually use 30 because it's going to match with an image that we're going to use here later. And the minor unit really doesn't matter. I'm just going to pick 10 as the minor unit. You actually don't have to choose that. You can choose whatever you want. So I'm going to hit OK, and you'll see now we have 30, 60, 90 on our lines. So now I'm going to go ahead and look at my horizontal axis and edit it. So instead of minus 90 and positive 90, we're actually going to go in and change this to minus 180. So I'm going to go ahead and change that, and it's going to be positive 180. So I'll change that too. And our major unit again is going to be 30 and minor unit 10. That's fine. And I'll hit OK. So now we have pretty close to what our goal is. So if I take you to the other one, you can see something different about it, and that is that it's transparent. And that's going to be important as we go in to lay down those lines. So if you will look at your scatter plot, and we're going to look at two different things that we want to look at. One is the chart area, and I'm just going to right click there, format chart area. And you see the fill selection. You may have something different, but no matter what you have, if you'll just go in and turn on the transparency, just turn that up to 100. It doesn't even matter what color you have in there if you just set the transparency at 100. So that kind of got the outside there. So let's go in and format the plot area, and again just take that transparency up to 100, and now we have a transparent chart. And I'm going to delete our key because it's going to make it easier as we go through and just put our plotted points over our image that we're going to look at here in a minute. So the other thing is our points that we have here are kind of a light blue. So I really would like to use something that's a little more visible. So I'm going to go over here and grab red. I think red will do a better job. And you can look, we have all different sizes. I think the smaller the better as we try to plot these on our image, because we want to be able to see them, but we also want to see how many we have of each one. You'll see several of them are close together, and that's going to make sense as we go through and put this on top of our image. So this is where you need to be so far. And actually, if you've gotten this much, you're doing really well. So let's move on to our next video.